Hello, fellow advocates. We are here today to discuss a little bit about early intervention and allocation of funds. So I want to start with just a short little clip of an interview from Daryl Bailey. He is our district attorney in Montgomery County, and he sees the fluctuation in what is happening with the crime rate. So I just want to listen to that.
Giving your statement about kids and like to lose a whole generation of kids. Can you just repeat that for me, please?
Yeah, I do believe we're on the cusp of losing a whole generation of kids. The kids that I see coming into the criminal justice system now they're becoming younger and younger. The ones that are committing these violent crimes, I'm seeing 14, 15, sometimes 13-year-olds committing the robberies, murders, these type of violent crimes that used to be reserved for the older adults, but now we're seeing them younger and younger. And there are kids, because I'm in the school system weekly, when school's in session, through programs that we're doing, just checking on our kids and just seeing what we can do to provide them resources. And there's a lot of things going on that the general public doesn't know about. There's a lot of unaddressed mental health issues. There's a lot of drug abuse, the social media bullying and things like that that are way out of control. And we have got to address that before we lose our children.
I found a way.
So that was Daryl Bailey. It's a very eye-opening statement that he made. It was just a short statement, but it was very impactful. So let's talk about the reality of Alabama youth. So these three facilities are housing facilities for for kids we call youthful offenders. So about 1,000 of Alabama's youth are housed in these three facilities per year. So criminal and family law defines the term youthful offender as being someone who has broken the law under the age of 21. However, not all underage criminals are eligible for the youthful offender status. In fact, Alabama is one of the very few that still try teenagers as adults. In fact, here in Alabama, if a 16-year-old someone between 16 and 21, if there's a firearm involved, they are automatically taken out of the youthful offender status and they're tried as an adult. So just think about that. Even if they're 16 and there's a gun involved, they're going to be tried as an adult. So let's talk about these three facilities. The money going to those facilities, I would like to just discuss some options. What if we reallocate them somewhere else? So let's go and kind of think about graduation rate. Between October of 2018 and October of 2019, only about 48,000 students graduated in Alabama out of the almost 57,000 high school seniors. That doesn't count the ones who dropped out before their senior year. That's a graduation rate of 84%. The term at-risk student is used to describe students who have a higher probability of failing academically or dropping out of school. These students often face obstacles in their daily lives that make academics unattainable. Some of those circumstances are homelessness, incarceration, teenage pregnancy, health issues, domestic violence, transiency, learning disabilities, low test scores, discipline problems, grade retentions, and that's only some of the disadvantages faced by some of the students. These barriers make the needs for the specific student significantly higher. So what does that mean? How does Alabama rank in all of that? So Alabama Connections website is where I did this research. Alabama Foundation Program for School Funding hasn't changed its viewpoint or stance on school funding in about 20 years. So this state program treats all students the same. This method leaves no room for per pupil needs. This means that districts with high concentration of at-risk students receive the same funding per student as the thriving and home students and the thriving academic students. So highly specialized intervention is vital for these at-risk students in order for them to be successful academically. They cannot measure up without additional resources. It's just not fair to think that they can. Alabama School Connection goes on to further explain that other funding modules are moving away from the blanket funding, but Alabama's not quite there yet. So that leaves a local need even higher than other states. Early intervention with families of students identified as at risk would significantly increase the students' overall success and better prepare them for high school, college, and career. So I want to talk a little bit about this man, James Heckman. He's a little bit of a mentor of mine. He has dedicated his life to research and the discovery of early childhood education and vital intervention needed for at-risk kids. Heckman believes that the ideal time to identify and intervene in early development is birth to 5 years. That's before they're even in school. So Heckman believes that he has joined forces with economists, psychologists, statisticians, neuroscientists, in a groundbreaking study back in 2012. His data proved that investing in the developmental growth of at-risk children would result in economic growth. The small cost of introducing parent coaching and early cognitive and character skills will far outweigh the long-term cost of poor health, dropout rate, poverty, crime. That kind of mindset and commitment to humankind earned him a Nobel Prize in 2000. So just imagine every child getting what they need. We've got to change, though. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And my grandfather always told me, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, Misty. Don't you ever forget that. And he's right. We need to focus more on prevention. Reaching at-risk students is going to require reaching the entire at-risk family. This will reduce the child's exposure to violence, abuse, living on the streets. By exposing the whole family unit to a paraprofessional, all of the resources needed will be tapped to meet each individual need and produce a stronger, more sufficient student and family unit in the long run. Fewer funds will be needed for prisons, crimes, if we reallocate those funds to early intervention for families. For example, one case study in particular compared similar families with intervention and without. These case studies easily proved that early family intervention increased school readiness. In at-risk identified families, a group of 318 one-year-olds and their families received intervention by a paraprofessional linking multiple resources. These students were studied upon entry into kindergarten. These students who received services were positively impacted in areas of shyness, aggression, poor concentration, peer rejection. By entering the classroom prepared to learn, literacy jumped significantly. By maintaining this positive academic achievement throughout their school-age years, students will no longer be at risk of dropping out and will have a higher probability of becoming a productive citizen not involved in crime. Youth.gov reports that the U.S. taxpayer pays an estimated $655 billion annually for prevention, response, incarceration, and rehabilitation efforts. I want to take those funds from incarceration and rehabilitation efforts and put more towards the prevention and response. So now, what can we do about it? Contact Governor Ivey. Let her know this research. Let her know that because state education is a state-regulated area, patchwork federal programs are in place to help supplement the extra need. But even the Head Start programs in place now and the funded institutions are failing to reach the most vulnerable at-risk children. Due to severely inadequate funding for quality preschool, many children are just left out. There simply aren't enough allocated funds towards intervention and education for high-risk students. So the more that she hears from us and the more that she just gets that the people of Montgomery, this is what we want, then maybe we can start making a little bit of a difference. Every little bit will help.